Hello, how are you guys? Today I'm going to talk about who are quant developers and what do they do. I've talked about quantitative analysis or quants or quantitative research quite a few times on this channel, but I thought of making a video on quant development. It's a somewhat different career compared to quant research or quant trader or quant analyst. And actually for many people it's easier to become a quant developer compared to become a quant researcher or a quant analyst, and I'm going to talk about more about it, at least what are the things that people do in quant development and how we can become a quant developer, right? So in simple words, actually people who work in the software engineering department in the quantitative research area are called quant developers. So people who implement models on different systems, who develop softwares to implement models. So they do not develop the algorithms themselves, rather they implement the algorithms or build system around algorithms. Sometimes they also work on data, right, providing data for algorithm development. So these are people who are software engineers, IT developers, but who work in the quantitative finance area. Now they are more of programmers and less of analysts or less of researcher. I mean, for these people, what's important is that they should be able to write code. And very importantly, it's not just about writing code, it's also about how efficient your code is, because in quant finance, efficiency of the code matters a lot. So it's very important therefore that you have good understanding of algorithms and data structure. You are able to write efficient code that runs fast. So computational efficiency matters a lot, and therefore if you are a developer and you understand algorithms very well, the computational algorithms, and you have interest in finance, you understand somewhat mathematical modeling, or you have some understanding of quantitative finance, you are very suitable for such roles. It's a very lucrative, actually, let me tell you. It pays as much as a quant analyst makes, actually, especially at junior and mid-year level. The salaries are very similar. Maybe at the senior level, some of the quant traders may be making more, and that's actually true. But in banks, especially in big banks and all, the salaries are very similar. So it's very lucrative. But also note that the entry barrier is low. Even with a bachelor degree, you can become a quant developer. It is very bit more difficult to become a quant analyst just by having a bachelor degree, right? And if you want to become a quant analyst, you need to have solid understanding of mathematics and finance and many other things. And in many areas, you will be expected to have PhD or at least a master's degree, but no such requirement is there for quant developers. If you have bachelor degree in engineering, mathematics, physics, that's good enough, actually. As long as you're good with programming, nothing else matters. Okay, so the entry barrier is less compared to quant research or quant analysis, right? So what are the programming languages, right? Well, the most famous ones are like Python and .NET, Java as well, C++. I think the most popular is the C++, and Python is becoming very popular. So that's another. Java, .NET as well. C# also. SQL as well. What else? I think these are the famous languages. But there are also some very specific statistical quant development where you will be needed to have skills in R programming or MATLAB programming or in SAS. Okay, and there are sometimes very specific quant specific programming or tools which are in huge demand. For example, there is something called QRM, It's a tool actually. It's quite in demand. It has its own sort of programming language, also scripting language. If you know that language, you will be in demand and you will make a lot of money. So, but you can't learn that. It's proprietary. You really have to first enter and then learn. Right? So that's also there, and there are other tools such as Murex and all. If you have some experience with that, you'll always be in demand. So there are plenty of opportunities in quant development. And another good thing with quant development is that there are many more roles in quant development compared to that of quant research. In banks, if there are like 100 quants working in analysis or research, there probably will be 300 or 500 quant developers or IT developers working in quant finance. Right. One thing to note here is that it's not a generic IT development role. Right? It's very specific to finance. If somebody is expecting you to be a senior quant developer and you have, let's say, 10 years of experience in Java or C++ in some other industry, you probably won't be hired. Although I know people are getting hired because there's a huge shortage of people. So that's the reason. But if the company has the option of choosing between someone with some experience in finance and in development and somebody coming from non-finance background, they will prefer the one having already experience in quant finance, IT development. So it's a bit niche area. So it's not just about knowing Java or .NET. Sure, that's the most important skill, but you also need to have understanding of finance and investment, and you should have some familiarity with algorithms, computational algorithms, and quant finance models, right? I mean, you might be asked questions. Okay, what are the interest rate models? What are the Please write down some of these models, right? You may not understand at a very deeper level, but you should have some understanding of that. You may be asked questions in interview like, okay, what is a Black-Scholes model, right? So as a Java programmer, you probably haven't heard about what is a Black-Scholes model, but knowing a bit about that will impress the interviewer. Or if you have knowledge of regression analysis, you have some data science training, that also really helps. Machine learning, that truly is very good also, right? So 80% of your work, or 90% perhaps your work, will be on software development or IT development, and about 15 to 20% will be more about talking to the traders, talking to the risk manager, talking to the model developers, or people from business. So you really need to have some understanding of finance and investment and risk management and risk models, quantitative finance models. So you should not be someone who is scared of mathematical models or scared of mathematics, right? And you can move from quant development to quant research also. I know many people who have made the move. So they enter first to become a quant developer because it's somewhat of a low-hanging fruit, because the entry barrier is low, so or less entry barrier, so you can easily get a job there, and then you can move to quant research at a later point in time, okay, after having some experience. Okay, and this career is actually is in huge demand actually, especially in India actually. Elsewhere also, but in India it's becoming very difficult for people to find actually good quant developer. You can't just hire someone who is a Java developer to work in quant development. That person should have some experience in finance, like some experience in working as a developer in finance, right? And that is becoming a challenge actually, because a lot of the people in India, especially the ones working in IT development, they have no interest in learning the domain part or to learn algorithms or models. I came across a guy who a couple of years back, he used to work with a company called IHS Market. It provides market data. It's a London-based company. It's a company like Bloomberg, that provides market data for research, financial research or trading. He was I think that time he was working in Noida, in India, and he was telling me that he was actually making the London salary sitting out of Delhi. I think that time he was making quite good money. I think I'm talking about pre-COVID, like 4 or 5 years back. He was making something like 60, 65 lakhs. He was a senior guy, by the way. Somebody with more than 10 years of experience, quite experienced, and it's not from IIT or any of those elite colleges. But he accidentally moved to quant development, and ever since he's been there and making good money. I can also tell you another story of someone I met in London, Indian guy, more senior, at many more years senior to me. He moved to UK, I think sometime in 2006 or 7, to work in testing, software testing for Infosys, for a client in London. And then after 1 or 2 years, he somehow got a chance to work in data providing, in SQL programming for a bank. And that's when he came across some of these people who are actually doing C++ development and all. And he did learn from them and did a course there, and then moved to work as a quant developer. And back then it was also easy to get a sponsorship there. Things became more difficult afterwards, and he did wonderfully well. And he worked, I think, for last decade or so. He has been working as a contractor, and you probably do not know this, but these contractors, right, in IT, they make a hell lot of money. They make per day, like they make £800, £1,000, or even £1,200 a day. That's like making ₹1,00,000 per day. He's been doing that for last 10 years, multiple houses in London. He was making in Satyam, he was making something 5 lakhs a year, and he's doing well. He has made a fortune out of it. Good stories. He doesn't come from a very quant background. I've had very detailed discussion with him. He doesn't understand much of modeling, but he has fair bit of understanding of models and finance, and is a good programmer. So if for someone like that, I think you should also try. If you have interest in finance, by the way, right, doing it for the heck of it is not a good thing. Only if you have interest, I think then only it makes sense to do anything in life, and certainly in finance, right? It's if you do not belong to that field, I think you will realize that in no time, and then you'll quit and you'll do something else, right? There are opportunities also in varieties of area. That means you do not have to stick to that. Once you do that for about 8 to 10 years, that's when you probably will reach the peak. There are plenty of learning opportunities, by the way, right? 10 years is not good enough time. You probably have to spend like more than 2 decades in order to be a master in multiple fields in quant finance, in quant development. Having said that, there are newer areas also. For example, in quantitative computing, quantum computing, using machine learning infrastructure for trading and all. So it's an ever growing area. So there is no limitation to how much you can learn in this area. So opportunities are amazing, right? One thing I would like to tell you about, especially for the ones who are from India, and you're a student, you're someone with less than 3 years of experience. A lot of the people actually, right, if you're not from IIT, they get bit disappointed about the fact that probably the companies will not prefer them, because the trading firms, Jane Street and those companies, they only hire from IITs. Even within IIT, they only hire the computer science guys, and only from the top IIT, not even from the lower rank IITs. But that's also because there are just few quant trading jobs. But that's not the end of the world, right? There are thousands of other jobs like you can find in banks and other places. But for quant development, actually, nobody really cares whether you're from IIT or you're from some random college or university. So you can certainly get those jobs if you have skills. Last, I think 2 years back, somebody reached out to me, somebody with a master's degree in physics, and he wanted to enter into quantitative finance. And as many of you know, in India, if you have a master's degree in physics, you probably do not have many opportunities in the private sector, at least because a lot of people hire just engineers and MBAs and not people from other fields. But that's actually not the case. He managed to find a good job with a top US trading firms as a quant developer. He knew Python, he had done some courses there, and because of his physics background, people trusted him for his mathematical ability, and that's how he got the job. And he's even moved to another job actually after 2 years. So you can certainly try. As I said, there are plenty of opportunities abroad as well. You can move to London, you can move to Dubai, Singapore, Canada, Europe as well, continental Europe, Nordic country as well, Norway and Finland, Germany, Frankfurt, Amsterdam. There are plenty of opportunities even in Middle Eastern countries, like in cities like Abu Dhabi and Doha. There are also plenty of opportunities there. So yeah, if you have further questions, do not hesitate to contact me on this. You can also ask in the comment section. That's also good for a lot of us, right? If you ask a question in the comment section, I respond to that. Many other people will also benefit from that, because other people may have the similar sort of questions. Well, one other thing I want to discuss was that you need to have some understanding of computational mathematics, actually, algorithm, data structure, things that you learn in computer science. I do not come from a computer science background, but I know I did some training. So you really need to know the search algorithm, the sort algorithms, all these things, Dijkstra algorithm, those things. So computational complexity, right? You will be asked questions related to that as well. Doing vectorization, doing parallel computing, those things. You really need to know those things, right? Yeah. So if you have further questions on this, please let me know. And if you want to do the course that I plan to start, it's taking a bit of time. Please fill out the form in the comment section. Whether this course will help to become a quant developer? Well, not directly. Because it's not a programming sort of a course, and quant development is primarily programming. So you really have to be good in programming. That's the bare minimum thing. Other things are secondary. So what I'm trying to say is that if you already have some programming experience and you have interest in that, or you're doing some programming courses, or you're already a programmer, then this particular course will help you to gain the additional skills, modeling skills, investment finance skills, risk management skills, right? You can showcase that on your CV, and that will be a huge advantage when you go for interviews for such roles. Okay, any questions, please let me know. Thanks, guys.